Hi guys, my name's Laura. This is my oral presentation. So ethics is the philosophical study of morality, which brings me to the definition of morality. It's beliefs concerning right and wrong, good and bad, beliefs that can include judgments, values, rules, principles, and theories. Ethics can also be broken down into four kind of subcategories. There's descriptive ethics, which is the scientific study of moral beliefs and practices. This aims to explain how people actually behave and think when dealing with moral issues and concepts. There's normative ethics, which is the study of the principles, rules, theories that guide our actions and judgments. This tries to establish the soundness of moral norms. There's metaethics, which is the study of the meaning and logical structure of moral beliefs. This asks those fundamental questions like, what does it mean for an action to be right? What is good? What is bad? And then applied ethics, which I have seen firsthand. It's the application of moral norms to specific moral issues and cases. And this is used a lot in the professions of medicine and law. I've watched a movie where a guy was paralyzed from like the neck down. He really wanted to die, but the doctors just wouldn't let him. They didn't feel it was right, so they did everything they could to keep him alive. Another video that I saw before was babies that were born with both private parts. Their parents had to make a decision for them if they were going to be male or female, so that way they could have the surgery when they were younger, because it was easier to do so. But there were arguments if it was right or if it was wrong, because the child wasn't able to decide for themselves what they wanted or how they identified, if they identified as a male or female. And then the surgery was more or less permanent, so they had to deal with what their parents decided for them. In the second week, we learned a lot about theories and arguments. So I'm going to start with some theories. A moral theory is an explanation of what makes an action right or what makes a person or a thing good. There's three major theories, which are consequentialist, which is a theory asserting that we make an action, that what makes an action right is its consequences. Non-consequentialist is a theory asserting that the rightness of an action does not depend on its consequences. And then there's utilitarianism, which is a theory asserting that the morally right action is one that produces the most favorable balances of good over evil with everyone considered. A theory that I found most interesting was the divine command theory, which is a theory asserting that the morally right action is the one God commands. There's a lot of counter arguments to this as well. So when it comes to religion, it relies heavily on judgments because things like the Ten Commandments are vague. And then not everyone is religious, so they're not going to feel the same way about the divine command theory as people who are religious. And then there was a Socrates quote that I felt challenged the divine command theory pretty well, and it says, does God command this particular action because it is morally right, or is it morally right because God commands it to be? So that was one theory that I found very interesting. For arguments, there's four different parts of an argument. There's a statement, which is an assertion that something is or is not the case. Then there's the argument, which is a group of statements, which is supposed to be supported by the rest. The premise, which is a supporting statement in an argument. And the conclusion, which the statement supported in an argument. And then there's a few different types of arguments. The main two are deductive and inductive, and then they can be broken down as well. So deductive is an argument that is supposed to give logically conclusive support to its conclusion. An example would be in mathematics, if it were A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. Deductive can be broken down to valid and invalid. A valid argument is one that provides facts, logically conclusive support for its conclusion. And an invalid is an argument that does not offer the logically conclusive support for its conclusion. And then an inductive argument is an argument that is supposed to offer probable support to its conclusion. And the example in our textbook was, almost all men at this college have high SAT scores, therefore Julio probably has high SAT scores. Inductive can be broken down to strong arguments and weak arguments. A strong argument is one that does in fact provide probable support for its conclusion, and a weak argument is one that does not give probable support for its conclusion. And for the most part, in regards to ethics, arguments should have a moral premise to support a moral statement. Right now, I am getting my degree in the Associates of Science, which is just a broad degree, but I plan on either furthering my education with exercise science or going to get a certification for personal training. This could help with the personal training ethics can, just because you're interacting with people of all different cultures who are all going to have different beliefs and different values. So this will help keep an open mind to people with opposing points of views if you guys get into any touchy subjects or anything like that. I've also had a previous ethics class because I was originally going for the sonography program, so it was a healthcare ethics. One project that we did was everyone had to write down their top values, then we had to come together in a group and discuss what our values were and what they were, and it really opened your mind to people from different cultures having different values because of the way they were raised. So I can only imagine that it's got to be similar for how people view right and wrong and good and bad. And with that, there are so many different views of right and wrong. Some people feel smoking marijuana is good, some feel that it's bad, and other more touchy subjects. But everyone's going to have a different take on ethics based on how they were raised, if they're religious, if they're not religious. And does anyone really know what is right and what is wrong? Everyone's going to have their own opinion, but there isn't a real definite answer. And that is my oral presentation. Thank you.